It's a dangerous lie that half of all marriages fail. The disturbing truth is that most are already dead. They are ghosts sharing a bed, a mortgage, and a silence more terrifying than any fight. They slide their fingers across separate screens, breathing centimeters apart, performing a ritual of intimacy that has become hollow and sinister. They say, "Good night," not as a promise of love, but as a confirmation that the performance is still on. Modern love is a theater without an audience, a play repeated daily with actors who forgot their script. Nietzsche saw this rot over a century ago. He called romantic love humanity's most destructive lie. Man, he argued, doesn't marry for love. He marries out of fear. The primordial, chilling fear of being alone, of facing his own soul without a witness. The chemical lie, love as addiction, the most brutal truth. That love which promised eternity was only a temporary chemical state. A fever we mistook for destiny. Romanticism made it a religion. Society made it a contract. Nietzsche called it by its real name, a civilized form of madness. Modern neuroscience confirms the terror. What we call eternal love is a temporary chemical storm. Dopamine, the narcotic of conquest, hijacks your focus. Oxytocin binds you through manufactured tenderness. Serotonin gives just enough calm to confuse pleasure with purpose. These are not the substances of a soulmate. They are the chemicals of initial bonding, designed for survival, with an expiration date of 18 to 24 months. After the flame, the brain seeks balance, and what remains is not love, but emotional withdrawal, a biological hangover we disguise as stable routine. The domestication of the will. Marriage doesn't die with shouting. It dies with suffocating silence. It dies when the kiss becomes a procedure and love is reduced to an obligation. The bond collapses when the mystery is gone. Nietzsche would call this the domestication of the will. Out of fear of losing the bond, both partners renounce the very forces that made them desirable. The man ceases to be free. The woman ceases to be an enigma. Together, out of crippling fear, they build a cage and call it stability. This is affective dissonance, continuing the role of a relationship when the true emotion is long dead. On the outside, it looks like mature love. On the inside, it is a slow psychological murder disguised as loyalty. The body knows before the mind. The skin no longer responds. The voice becomes background noise. The cruelest paradox is that the same force of love becomes the machinery for personal servitude. You become a slave to the image of love, not the reality. The sinister liberation, the final agony, is not divorce. It is the revolt of the inner slave. The soul, tired of obeying the lie of stability, begins to crave its natural state, unpredictable, free, and dangerous. On the surface, it looks like a crisis. In the dark psychology of the soul, it is a resurrection. The repressed partner begins to hate, not the spouse, but the domesticated version of themselves. Psychologists call this reactance, the biological impulse to lash out when freedom is constrained. The most violent explosions come from the couples who repress themselves the most in the name of harmony. Nietzsche would not call the end a failure. He would call it rebirth. The question suspended in the smoke of the ruins is, was it love or was it the fear of being alone? The tragic lesson remains. He who cannot live alone is not free. We search for a lifeline, not a partner, and when that lifeline deflates, we discover we never learned to swim. Love isn't destroyed by time. It's destroyed by the fear of losing what no longer exists. To truly love, you must first have the terrifying freedom to stand alone.